I don't know who this is. Usually when there's statues of naked dudes like this, there's some kind of plaque or like a Pokestop or something that tells us who this is supposed to be. But I couldn't find anything other than it's just a decorative statue put there by the devs. But we're smart, kind of. We went to college, kind of. C's get degrees, am I right? So let's gather some clues and deduce what the devs were thinking when they made this guy for this game. First of all, let's get one thing clear. I'm not a historian or anything. I'm just a guy that likes Tom Hanks movies and Fallout 3. That's as deep as it goes. This is just me overthinking things that have no need to be overthinked. So if you thought my last video was making connections that were real stretches, buckle up. So anyway, who is this? Well, before we could try to understand that, we must first understand Fallout 3, which is the game we're exploring in this video, by the way, in case that wasn't clear. At the beginning of the game, Qui-Gon Jinn reads Baby Us a Bible verse.
Revelation 21:6. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely.
But this part right here, this is the important part. Alpha and Omega. Alpha and Omega are Greek letters, symbols. Alpha equals first or beginning, Omega equals end. Keep that in mind. Now let's get back to this guy. My first thought when I saw this was Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. And yeah, they look very similar, but I just couldn't think of a way to connect them other than that. The Vitruvian Man is more like a diagram, showing out the proportioning of mankind. So I just kept looking at it and I was like, could this be a circumpunct? No, Dave. Just because something has a circle in it doesn't make it a circumpunct. I tried to look at it from different angles to try to see if my perspective could make it look like a radiation symbol. No dice. But then I started to think more Greek, since the Greek loves their naked statues. So I went on a journey of googling Greek gods and goddesses, but the closest I could come up with was Atlas, who was a titan that was cursed by Zeus with the burden to carry the heavens on his shoulders. Maybe you could argue this works as a metaphor for the Lone Wanderer, because he was essentially punished by the Overseer, and now the Lone Wanderer has the whole world on his shoulders as he tries to provide the world with fresh water again. But that seems like a wild interpretation, right? But remember, Alpha and Omega. The Omega symbol is sometimes affiliated with the Underworld in Greek mythology, and since there is a place in this game called the Underworld, I decided to give it a visit. Now looking around, you'll notice a couple things. First of all, the place is guarded by a robot named Cerberus, which is clever. Next, all the paintings are gone, save one. This is actually a real painting by William Adolphe Borguera. Damn the French and their spelling. Called Dante and Virgil in Hell, which depicts a scene from the Divine Comedy where a heretic is being bitten on the neck by a man who apparently committed identity theft.
Identity theft is not a joke, Jim.
And then there's this guy just taking a nap. I don't know why it's called the Divine Comedy. There's nothing funny about what's going on here. I mean, not even the guy who works there looks like he's having a good time. It looks more like he's being all judgmental. Like, really? You had to take him on a tour through hell now? So what does all this have to do with this guy? Not a damn thing. Maybe you could do something like this as like a cool visual gag. But really, I'm probably just making this statue into another purple lightsaber. I use the term purple lightsaber to describe something that's reasoning is fairly simple and mundane, but then some nerd on the internet decides to put some deeper meaning behind it all that no one asks for. Like why Mace Windu has a purple lightsaber. So anyway, while I was cruising the Capitol Wasteland looking for more things to talk about, I thought, hey, I should visit the Capitol building. Since that's in this game, I mentioned it in my last video. So I killed some super mutants on my way to the Capitol building rotunda to look up. And I just saw a battle-scorned ceiling. Or did I? With a little computer hacking and cheat coding, I managed to break through the barriers forced upon us by the game developers. It's here! Well, I mean, most of it. This is the Apotheosis of Washington. It was painted in 1865 by Constantino Brumidi. I'll turn my brightness all the way up to get the best look. But it's still not great. But I mean, come on. It survived nuclear bombs after all, so it's good enough to make out the important parts. First thing you'll notice is that Washington is gone. The inner circle consists of George being seated next to two women who were supposed to represent liberty and victory, along with 13 other women to symbolize the original 13 states. You'll notice that George, Liberty, and Victory, and a handful of the original 13 are gone, because in this world, those things are dead. No one could claim victory in the war, because the world essentially ended, and George being gone symbolizes the death of the United States. The outer circle consists of 6 groups of folks, each accompanied by a Roman god. It's hard to make out, but we could see who the surviving groups are. First, we have the agriculture group, accompanied by Ceres, the goddess of agriculture, fertility, and motherhood. Project Purity was started by the mother of the lone wanderer, and the whole point of Project Purity is to make the land fertile and livable again, since water is the basis of all life. Next is the mechanics and Vulcan making a cannon. A cannon is what? A weapon of war. And what's the most iconic line of this franchise again? War never changes. Coincidence? I think not. Third, and my personal favorite, is the Commerce Group, where Mercury is handing a bag of money to Robert Morris, the financier of the American Revolution. Financier is also a kind of cake. You can't tell me there's a coincidence that the money survived the bombs. Anyone who's seen the Fallout TV show knows that it was greed that dropped the bombs. They say war never changes, but neither does greed. And finally, we have the Marine Group with Neptune and Venus holding the transatlantic cable, which was being laid when Constantino Brumidi was painting this whole thing back in 1865. This is either driving home the water is basis of life point I made earlier, or symbolizing the way water connects all life together, and how it needs to be used again to bring life back to the world. So to summarize, the groups that survive the bombs are the ones that symbolize money, weapons, and agriculture. All things that motivate the various narratives in the Fallout games. And the 2 groups that didn't survive the bombs were the groups that represent war and science, possibly because it was war and science that created this whole mess to begin with. Now as we come to the ending of the video, or the omega of the video if you will, I'm going to leave you with this. The story of Fallout 3 comes to its conclusion at the Jefferson Memorial, the birthplace of the Lone Wanderer and the home of Project Purity. It serves as the final destination of a journey that was started here by your mother and father, and the place where the Lone Wanderer meets their ultimate end. The Alpha and Omega. The beginning and the end. So where does this leave us? Pleasantly surprised actually. I don't know if they did this on purpose, probably not since the top of the building isn't even rendered, but hey, I bet GameRant hasn't written this article yet. I was pretty blown away when I saw that the Apotheosis of Washington was in this game. It would be easy for them to just leave the ceiling a battered mess, but the fact that they put that much detail in it just deserves a slow clap if you ask me. It's not even just the ceiling, it's all the stonework in the entire rotunda that they nailed. Anyways, if you want to read more about the Apotheosis of Washington, I'll leave a link in the description. But as usual, let me know what you think, or if there's anything else in these games that I should talk about. But as always, thank you, and take care. Oh yeah, sources.